Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We've got some Star Wars Legion to talk about, points update, and the fall of the Republic. What do I mean by that? Well, points updates were pretty harsh to Republic lists. In addition to the points updates, there also has been a rules update. There's a new version of the rule book that has mostly clarifications, but has one major change that we are going to talk about in today's video. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you are having a wonderful day and preparing for an excellent weekend. I do want to remind you guys we are doing 12 Days of Life Day this year. It's going to be 12 times in December. We're going to be doing 12 giveaways. If you want to have a chance to enter to win any of those, you just have to be a subscriber or leave a comment on this or one of my videos. And if you are a patron, there's also extra chances because patrons will have some of those will go exclusively to patrons, as well as anything that gets unclaimed from the 12 Days of Life Day will roll over to be extra Patreon giveaways. So they'll get double dipping, so to speak. So that's a pretty cool thing. Plus, you get early access to like battle reports and all kinds of cool stuff. So name in the credits, Discord roles, all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, check it out in the video description below. So points adjustments, updates, rules updates. A lot of things came out of this live stream yesterday with Atomic Mass Games. Some interesting stuff. I do want to talk about some things before we get into the points updates, because it's mostly, bad things for your favorite Republic lists, but not exclusively. There's a couple of other things they talked about when they come to adjustments and rules, balance changes, things like that. They're going to try and do this twice a year. It's going to be aiming for November and April each year. So they're going to, they just want to keep looking at it, and that's what their aim is for. So if you feel like something was over nerfed or maybe not nerfed enough or buffed a little too much, there's always the chance for them to kind of dial it back or keep it going or make no change at all, depending on how it's been performing over the past 6-month period. And that's one of the things that they're doing. And that applies to rules adjustments, and as well as points. Although I think it's primarily points focused. The other thing is that they did talk about how in 2025 they're going to be dropping summer 2025. A lot of good stuff is coming out. While the new art style is going to be applied to all of the cards, not every card that's getting redone in the new art style is going to also be like errated or changed. There's some things that are going to stay exactly the same, just also be brought up to speed with the new art style. So don't think that your favorite unit is going to get totally changed, although a lot of units are going to see some types of changes. And some of those changes may not reflect on the card themselves because keywords have also been adjusted, and that was a big part of the live stream. So big thing is that things that give you free attacks after you move, namely charge, steady, and relentless. Those have been changed significantly. The change is simple, elegant, and disastrous for certain builds and cards and tech. What happens now is that if you are going to use those, they can only trigger during that respective unit's activation. So if your trooper has charge, the only time they can actually get the free attack after that move action is if they're doing that move action during their own activation. And the big takeaway for this is that other abilities that would have given them free moves, like Yoda's guidance, for example, can no longer give them the free, secondary proc effect that you would get from charge or relentless or steady. Also, certain command cards are heavily hurt by this. Luke Skywalker's "You Serve Your Master Well." Jyn Erso, her 1-pip that it gives her charge, and then she gets to interrupt and then like move or attack. And that's happened to me in so many. That's one card that gets played in the next Legion battle report I have coming up too. Patrons have early access to that. She loves to like set up somewhere where she can be like, oh, you're activating this guy, I'm gonna just run in there and charge and attack and finish them off because they were kind of low. She won't be able to actually do the charge on that interrupt anymore because it's interrupting a different activation. So I do think that cards like that that have been very significantly affected may see some more changes when when next summer's big card drop ends up happening. So I think that's something that ought to happen. Another way that this also severely impacts the game is with the standby tokens. Gone are the days when you could take a standby action and then somebody triggers that standby and suddenly you do a move into charging into them and then attacking them. So standby is now significantly worse for units that could have taken advantage of that. And that's also going to impact, I think, certain command cards that give standbys to the rest of their army, like Echo-based defenders and things like that. Although I think in a lot of cases, the Echo-based defenders were trying to give standbys to a lot of turrets that would then just shoot with it. So if you were just going to use your standby to shoot, you're golden. If you were going to just use your standby to run away, you're golden. If you're going to use your standby just to engage somebody and not attack them, which was more rare but sometimes still happened, that'll be unchanged. But if you had charge, if you were like a Emperor's Royal Guard, or if you had steady or relentless, or you took like a Darth Vader and had him stand by when he popped burst of speed or something like that, I don't know, I probably wouldn't do that in that particular case, but that's rough. It's a big hit to people that wanted to do that. So that's an interesting change. It does kind of, at the same time, there's so many times where people would ask questions. I think I just answered one of these in Discord yesterday or the day before about, if I get a speed 1 move from this, does that trigger charge? And no, because that's a speed X move, not necessarily a move action. And a lot of those questions won't have to be asked anymore because, that doesn't happen during your activation. Although there's still the chance that you could potentially get that to trigger during your activation. But that is a big blow to a lot of existing tech and combos and things like that. So that is also one of the things that impacts some of the points changes that we're going to take a look at. So let's go ahead and put let's go ahead and do some screen magic. Boom, boom, there we are. Okay. It's got to do the sound effects too, right? All right. So we have a new document. There is also a new rule book, but since the only real significant changes were those ones we just talked about with, relentless and steady and charge, I'm not going to go ahead and go over the whole rule book. There were some clarifications and typos and things like that were changed, but they have updated it to 2.6.1. I really hope that they just jump up to 3.0 next year when they get all the rest of this stuff out. So we've got all of our points here. Now, big criticism that I have for this is that when something is changed, medical droids, right? Basically your basic medics for each faction have gone up. That they one of the things that is a big problem is that they mark them all blue. It's nice that they marked the changes in a different color. I like that. The feedback is blue is usually seen as should be it went down, it got cheaper, it got more desirable. Blue, it's better, it's blue. If it got nerfed, it should be red. So points that go up should have been in red. Points that went down should have been in blue, because now all of a sudden it's harder to remember. What was it before? So that's something to keep in mind. But all of the medics have gone up, some more than others. So for example, this guy, I think the Rebel and Imperial medic both went up 3 points. So there's that. We have the Rebels. Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight went down. I think it went down 10 points. And I think part of this was that command card getting nerfed, and also he's just kind of dated a little bit. I think it was a 2-part. It's he's not quite as good as he once was, and he's also had a nerfed command card. And so and then 2-1B also for the Rebels. Not a whole lot. Again, 3-point increase. Not a huge big deal. But here's an example. This guy went up, but Luke went down, but they're both blue. So in the future, AMG, if you're watching, if you could, changes that are positive, or, make those blue, changes that are nerfs, make those red. Points went up, make them red. Now, Republic, Well, Public got the granddaddy of changes here, so a lot of changes here. Now, Anakin Skywalker got up 15 points more. He's been very, very popular lately. I don't think that was a big surprise. I think everybody kind of who plays competitively and has had to deal with the meta with Anakin Skywalker would agree that that was probably coming. ARC Troopers went up across the board. ARC Troopers went up, and they talked a lot about why the reasonings for this. And certain combinations that made ARC Troopers better. So there were points increases all along. For example, the what was it? The Clone Commander upgrade. So if you were to take the Clone Commander upgrade with your ARC Troopers, you were getting that extra Surge token there, and on the ARC Troopers it was so much better. And because they're also clones, and it can be shared. And if you ran 3 ARC Troopers, each with the Clone Commander, you had you had tokens for days, and it's then a very effective unit. So in an effort to try to reduce that, points have been increased across the board. So ARC Troopers went up by 6. The Strike Team went up by 2. So the Strike Team went up. They didn't talk about Bark Speeders, but I believe these used to be 75 at one point, and they're 65 now. Bark Speeders have. I don't know if this was just a recent change or if this is a typo with the color scheme, because I don't know what. Honestly, I haven't run Bark Speeders in so long. I don't know what they cost yesterday. The printed cost says 75, but I thought that those were changed a while back, but I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments if you can remember what Bark Speeders costed yesterday. What they cost yesterday. Because I don't remember this that was talked about during the stream, but I was a little sidetracked when they were doing the stream, so they may have mentioned it. Clone Commandos also saw a change. Now, both Delta Squad and Clone Commandos saw a change, but Clone Commandos got the more significant change. Clone Commandos went up 15 points, while our Delta Squad only went up 5 points. And part of the reasoning for this, I mean, Delta's already more expensive, but they said they wanted to incentivize you taking the named units and taking cool stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. It always kind of makes me raise an eyebrow, because I think about what they did in X-Wing, where they made all the generic unnamed troopers. They point costed them out of the game, where you effectively couldn't take them at all anymore if you wanted to play seriously. It'd be the equivalent of making Clone Commandos cost 300 points, compared to Delta Squad, which is only 105. I mean, yes, legally, yes, you could take that, but nobody would. So they kind of did that in X-Wing. So whenever they talk about saying, we want to incentivize taking the unique units, I'm like, cool, but Legion is a game about stormtroopers, and so don't do it too much. I'm okay with what they did, and that's good. It's just it's a slippery slope and some dangerous ground with remarks like that. Yoda, moving down for the units, Yoda went down in points. Big part of that was his guidance is changed because of the fact that it was so common for him to use guidance on a unit that had Relentless, or with his 2-pip giving Relentless. There was a lot of really good tech with Yoda, and Yoda's much less good now. I still think Yoda will see play. I still think he's a fun commander to bring. He's thematic. He's cool. And his command cards still cycle. I think he's still good. But some folks who ran him competitively have said that maybe 10 points was not enough. He should be even cheaper now. I do feel like guidance is much less good. Mostly because not only would I sometimes, when I would run Yoda, not only would I use it to try to potentially put it on somebody with charge, I would also try to use guidance to give somebody a standby. And since standby is also nerfed because of these changes, I think it kind of cripples guidance. Guidance still has some value in movement, especially in the game that is a little more so now about area control and area and positioning. But still, it was nerfed significantly. So Yoda went down 10 points. Going back to Barks, if we look at the upgrades, the sidecars all went down. They only a little bit, 3 points each. They talked at length about this, and that it was not at too much length, but that you're already paying by reducing the speed, in the new game, which in this in 2.0, which they wouldn't call it a new edition, but in basically the way the game is now with the cards, the new battle cards, that the speed decrease is more significant, especially with the way turn 1 works in deployment and trying to get into position. You have a harder time. Speed 3 unit is way more valuable than it was back before we had this new edition. So, well, maybe not way more valuable. It's certainly more valuable. That value is a little more pronounced. The Clone Commander went up to 30 points. We talked about that and some of its synergy with the ARC Troopers. It's still good overall. And the Clone Medic went up to 20 points. This was only a 3-point increase on the Clone Medic. I believe it's an 8-point increase on the Clone Commander. So, yeah, again, medics across the board kind of went up. And the Clone Medic is honestly a really good card. It only has the Restore 1, but it can still shoot. So it's not a non-combatant, which is good. So that's a lot of our Galactic Republic changes. Separatists had, while they only have 2 that are in Separatists, there's more. There's more because there's also the programming cards, and we'll talk about those in a minute. So the PK series worker droid went up. He went up to 22. It's also a 10-point upgrade for him. The Viper Recon droid got the 3-point upgrade. With the PK series, well, that's not their medic. It's kind of their medic because he does repair. And he got more of an increase, not just because of the B2, the emerging kind of B2 battle droids value with the game changes, but also the fact that since he's repairing, he pulls double duty because not only can he heal a B2 or one of your droids, he can also repair a vehicle. So his value is a little more pronounced now. And the Viper Recon droid, also largely because of B2s, he was only 6 points, and he was going into like an 18-point unit adding, or 18 points per miniature thereabouts, and it was adding an extra hit point to them, and also a pretty decent little extra close range gun. So because you're getting 2 dice with him. So yeah, he just came up a little bit to maybe make him a little bit more appropriately costed per hit point that he gives in a B2 unit. But we're not really done with Separatists. No changes to Shadow Collective. A lot of people not happy. A lot of RIP Shadow Collective remarks in there. Let's talk about Recon Intel. Recon Intel went up significantly. It's now 8 points. That's I say significantly because it was already. It used to be a 2-point upgrade back in the day, and I loved it. Obviously, Scout is a very, very good and very valuable upgrade. It changes your turn 1 deployment. Now that first action doesn't have to be a move action, right? So yeah, Recon is a big one. It went up 3. So it initially used to be 2. They changed it in this edition to make it 5, and now it's up to 8. I don't know if it'll stop there. I could see it hitting 10 by the next update, because I think people are still going to take it. I think it's a really valuable upgrade for early game, for that turn 1. And for slow units, too. And because of the slot it's in, it can go on so many units can take it on that equipment slot. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, the programming has changed quite a bit. These kind of flip-flopped. Your expensive one became the cheapest one, and your cheapest ones became the most expensive ones. So attack protocols, defense protocols, and engagement protocols all saw some interesting changes. Now, engagement went from 5 down to 3. That one used to be, and that was the attack and move one. Is the most vanilla, and it was the one I don't think anybody ever really took. Attack protocols and defense protocols both used to be 3. They went up 5 points. They went up to 8 points each. I particularly like attack protocols. It gives you AI aim, and it gives you precise 2. Defense protocols gives you AI dodge and nimble, and outmaneuver. And one of the big reasons why these got changed so much is that AI kind of doesn't exist anymore. I expect these to be changed in the new edition. Because AI is so not really a thing. And if you're unfamiliar with this AI change, this is basically You can issue commands at any range now, and so that's a big deal for most armies, unless of course you're a battle force that has a specific restriction on there, like the Imperial Remnant. But also, AI only affects you if you're outside of a commander's range and then don't have. So as long as you're within range 3 of your commander, you can ignore AI, which is a big deal, right? So there's so many ways to get around AI. If you, your commander's away, well, you can still issue him an order. Oh, I don't have to issue him an order. Oh, my commander's close enough, So yeah, not really that big of a deal. Might be a big deal when it comes to Grand Army, though, if they ever get around to doing Grand Army in a new kind of edition. So that's those are the points. Those are the updates, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Obviously, this is going to be a big change to a lot of Republic lists. I think it's going to impact a lot of other things. I think it's going to impact people who you like to take advantage of standby. And charge, and I think it could also really impact. I mean, Yoda's. I'm really curious how I didn't use Yoda egregiously. I tend to play with a little bit more of a casual mindset. So I was never running like 3 ARC troopers and trying to do that. But recently I went up against ARC troopers multiple times, and they're very strong. So. You can see in some of my battle reports that ARC troopers have been very, very strong. We'll have to wait and see, but these all seem like very measured, changes. I think Yoda may come down a little bit more. Maybe we'll have to try him out soon, and see how it goes there. The biggest thing to me is all of the extra changes from Charge and Steady and Relentless not being able to work outside of the unit that has them out of activation. And all of the command cards that are impacted by that. I'm very eager to see how that'll work. Is Jin's 1-pip going to be changed? I tend to play against Rebel lists a lot, which means I see a lot of Jin Urso across the table from me. And I am kind of overjoyed that for the first time in Legion's history, Jin has seen a nerf. Jin and Pathfinders seem to get better, cheaper, more desirable every single balance change. And I already have always struggled with dealing with them. And this is the first time Jin has seen a nerf. So I'm like, all right, good. Keep nerfing her. Keep nerfing her. Make her more expensive. Take away her command cards. She doesn't get command cards at all anymore. But she's already a Courage 3 bubble commander, which is great for the Rebels. And she's very hard to kill with Danger Sense 4, I think she has. It's hard to stop her. It's very hard to stop her, so I'm happy to see a little bit to help me out there. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.